Hey, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me again today. In today's video, I want to teach you how to perform the retention of vision coin vanish. Now, this is an old technique for vanishing a coin, and it's still so popular today. You can find download after download and tutorials and variation upon variation of this technique. Now, I want to teach you it, but in addition to that, I want this to be the ultimate guide on the retention of vision vanish. So this is meant for beginners, but also for intermediate and advanced coin magicians. I think you're going to learn a bunch of stuff in this video that you had no idea about. Now, before I jump right into this, I want to hit some major points. The first one being the origin of this move. So a little bit of the history, the people involved in it, and where did it first appear in print, and how you can find those sources for yourself and read a little bit more. Number two, I want to define some different words and terminology because I think it's important to see how this move in particular, how it evolved and changed, and the implications that it had and our understanding of the move. And that'll make sense later on. And number three, I want to get into the nitty-gritty of performing the actions of the retention of vision vanish and my own personal touches on how to make it look better. So let's get into it. So the first place we see reference to this move, or what becomes the retention of vision vanish, is in The Art of Magic by T. Nelson Downs. Now, this book was published in 1909, and has a large amount of card manipulation, card tricks, sleights, and it also covers a large portion of coin magic, coin sleights, and it covers T. Nelson Downs' Miser's Dream routine. So as you're reading The Art of Magic, the first half of the book is mainly card magic, but as you get to chapter 7, which is titled Fancy Flourishes with Coins, Useful Sleights, and Additions to the Miser's Dream, the first thing we're introduced to is what will become the retention of vision vanish. You can see, starting about midway through the first paragraph, he says, "We cannot do a greater service to the reader than open this chapter with a description of one of the most elusive coin passes in the whole range of coin conjuring. We cannot claim that this pass is original or even new, but it is not generally known to the profession. The sleight was a favorite of the late Harry Stork and is a specialty of an esteemed correspondent, Mr. T.J. Crawford." So I don't know where the true origin of this move is. This is my earliest personal reference. So I have this book on my computer, and there may be earlier references, but I'm unable to find anything earlier than this. So 1909. And what follows on the next page is a description of kind of what we're all familiar with. There's two drawings, one like this and one like this. And it's described in words what's happening, that the three fingers of the right hand reach out, grasp the coin as it's let go of with the thumb and the index finger. So kind of what we all basically understand as just the old retention of vision vanish. And from there, those same descriptions reappear in the first publication of Bobos in 1952 on pages 29 through 32. So we see the elusive coin pass again, and reference to T.J. Crawford again, and then Di Vernon's touch on it, which is just called a coin vanish. So where does the retention of vision coin vanish come from? Where does that title come from? I don't really know, because it doesn't appear in Bobos, and it doesn't appear before Bobos, going all the way back to The Art of Magic. It's not until 1977 when Harry Lorraine wrote his book called The Magic Book, where there's a coin vanish with the title, The Persistence of Vision Coin Vanish. Not the retention of vision, persistence of vision. And then in 1987, the Vernon Chronicles, the same title for a coin vanish appears, The Persistence of Vision. Unfortunately, I don't have either of those books, but I searched this term on the Conjuring Archive. I searched for the term retention of vision coin vanish and persistence of vision coin vanish. So that's a little bit of the history of the move and where you can find it in print. So now I want to touch on the second point, which is exploring some of this terminology. So how did we get from the elusive coin pass to the persistence of vision vanish, and then the retention of vision vanish, to now what most people just call the retention vanish? Now, this is just a theory of mine, but I think it was because of Harry Lorraine and because he named that coin vanish the persistence of vision coin vanish. That's where we got to retention of vision. Well, the first place that I have seen in print where it's called the retention vanish was David Roth's Expert Coin Magic. Now, if you have a copy, you can look for yourself. It's one of the first items there, and it references T.J. Crawford, Di Vernon, Greater Magic, and the Art of Magic. And then it goes on to describe David Roth's touches on the move. But it doesn't explain where the word retention came from. If you search for persistence of vision, you will find definitions, you'll find articles about that. It's an actual scientific phenomenon. When you search for retention of vision, it's not a thing. That's not a term, at least in the scientific world. So I think there was a mix-up somewhere, I just don't know where. And again, that's just my theory. But the word retention of vision, it conveys the same idea. The image of the coin is retained in our eye, in our brain. Our eyes speak to our brain. So in a sense, it's accurate, but it's not describing exactly what's happening. And I've seen people confuse the word retention with literally retaining the coin or physically retaining the coin. By that definition, half of all false transfers are retention vanishes, because half of all false transfers are fake puts. It doesn't matter how you do it, you're retaining the coin. So this is where it's not important really, but I think it's where a lot of things have gotten confused, where people think it's defining the physical action, where it's actually defining what's happening in our minds. Again, I don't want to get too bogged down with theory and definition, but I do find it interesting how one thing can evolve to the next, until we get to David Roth, which he just calls the retention vanish. I urge you to go read for yourself. Google these terms, search through these definitions, and read these old books too, and you can follow the journey of this really old technique. Now, if you're not aware, if you go to my website and then go to resources, I have some free books for you. Now, these are all in the public domain. I've just put them here for your convenience. The only barrier in place for you is to register an account on my website. So just put your email in. I am not a person to spam you with an email every other day or even once a week. So don't worry about that. What I will do is give you these books for free. They're all there. There's 9 books there that are in the public domain. So you can read The Art of Magic, Modern Coin Manipulation. There's the first publication of Bobos in there, and many others. So I urge you to go check that out, and you can read the origins of these moves. So if we look at the old texts, like going back to the art of magic, and you read those descriptions, and if you were to try to repeat those descriptions, the retention of vision or the elusive coin pass looks like that. We're told to reach out and get the coin. And the pictures show this, not specifically this. We're only given two pictures, this picture and this picture. But the words used to describe the actions are that the other three fingers reach and grab the coin, and then the coin is palmed. It doesn't say how, it just says palmed. So what you see most magicians doing is something like this, which it looks okay. The point to remember with any false transfer technique that you're doing is that that's an isolated moment within a larger action or a larger series of movements. There's a tendency nowadays with TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and the way we're viewing magic, that this isolated movement has now become a magical effect when it is not an effect in itself. If you go do this in the real world for somebody, they are immediately going to look at your other hand. Where else would the coin be? In fact, all people already know the secret to all coin magic. The secret to all coin magic is it's always in the other hand. If you think about it, that's the secret of every single coin trick. So it's important to realize with every variation that comes out, everybody's new, fresh idea on this old technique, they all kind of look the same to the audience. And I would argue that point with anybody. I don't care how quick your retention is, your technique. I don't care what variation you've decided to snap that coin into. They all kind of look the same for a regular person. It looks like you had the coin and you put it in the other hand and the coin is not there anymore. Another important thing to keep in mind is as you're performing any of these actions, you should be getting the audience to look at you. John Carey talks a lot about this. And even if you go in another old book that is great, John Ramsey, the legend of John Ramsey, he was famous for using misdirection. And these ideas are kind of getting lost in the new era of TikTok videos where people actually cut their heads off and they're only showing this portion and they're doing hyper visual coin magic, but it's, in my mind, it's not very magical. There's no mystery, there's no story, there's no presentation. So where some people might look down upon this old technique, keep in mind, it's a snapshot of a larger presentation, of a larger action. It's taken out of context and put into a book and described in almost technical writing on how to execute it. So when you go out and do it, you have to add all this other stuff that will cover this knuckle, the look of this hand and everything like that. If I'm talking about this coin and then I ask you a question, this now is done in your periphery, and you will see the action take place and believe it for what it looks like. Instead of burning the action, as an effect, because if you put anything into that context, you're not going to fool anybody. They're going to immediately go to your other hand, because this doesn't stand alone as a magical effect. And I don't care what version you're doing, even the new, snappy versions, and you can't do that as an effect on its own. It doesn't matter how quickly the coin vanishes. If it's not over here, then it's over here. And everybody knows that. So moving on through history, since a lot of the descriptions were repeated in other books, all the way up until Bobos' Modern Coin Magic, we're still getting the same description of the move. And it's not until David Roth's Expert Coin Magic where he actually mentions the knuckle. And so we get away from this look where that first finger's popping up. Now, if you look in the Roth text, it specifically mentions making the action more subtle and not reaching across the coin. Let me read that for you in detail. So David Roth's Expert Coin Magic. I'm just going to take a second here to say this, in my opinion, is the Bible of coin magic. People refer to Bobos as the Bible of coin magic. It's necessary reading, and it's a great cross-section of a lot of coin magic at the time. But this book here elevated my coin magic far more than any other coin magic book. And now it is back in print. So I urge you to go purchase it while it is still available. Anyway, the first item in the book is the retention Vanish. Again, this is the first place that I've seen the word retention included in the title. And in the first paragraph, it gives all the history that I kind of went over. What I want to specifically point out is on the second page of the description, while your right thumb and first finger continue to lightly grasp the coin, your second and third fingers extend onto its face. They do not extend over the far side of the coin and cover it completely, but just as far as they can go comfortably. Your right thumb and first finger release the coin. To continue, curl your second and third fingers, taking the coin into fingertip rest. Your thumb and first finger do not move at all. There is a tremendous tendency to pull back with your first finger, but that will cause the knuckle to pop up. You must concentrate on keeping your thumb and first finger immobile. So that, along with some other details that I'll allow you to discover for yourself, that point is the first time that's mentioned about this movement we tend to do. And I'll move the book here. So we're going from this technique to a softer movement that it's trying to get rid of that movement. So that was a problem that was seen long ago, and obviously people were attempting to correct it, smooth it out, and improve the move. So it was David Roth's book that I feel gives the best description of the move, the elusive coin pass, or the retention Vanish. to eliminate this look and bring it more to a softer, more effortless look. And now I want to teach you my little touches that I have found further bring the move to looking more effortless and looking more real. So this is my subtle variation on the retention of vision vanish, the elusive coin pass. And again, it's very subtle. It kind of looks the same, but you'll notice there's little or no finger movement at all. What I've added is the release of my thumb and no knuckle popping at all. So the way I'm doing this is I started with Roth's technique, and I did that for years and years. And I still had the tendency to reach sometimes, to kind of pop that up. And a good way to cover that is to kind of tip your wrist a little bit forward. We tend to want to display that coin, and our palm is facing outward a lot. When you get here, you really see that knuckle pop. But if you tip more forward and butt your left hand up to the knuckle, you almost don't see it at all. And I'm trying to do like the worst technique here and really snap out like this. But when you add the left hand right up to the knuckle, it gives you a good amount of cover. So you're not seeing that pop. That was kind of the first evolution. Then I realized just having a softer touch, I didn't have to reach for the coin. I could allow the coin to fall towards me or fall towards my other fingers. So by allowing the gravity to work in my favor, I'm just supporting the coin with my middle finger. It's my thumb and my index finger that are holding just over the edge. So I'm displaying as much of that coin as I can. But then if I just move my middle finger, that coin will swing down. And it's a light touch. You want it to pivot like that, but you want to hold on to it, obviously. So from this position, if I let go and turn my hand, the coin is in fingertip rest. So to maximize this condition, I started to do the tip forward and then add the gravity, and then it looks like this. So very, very soft, very effortless, and you get the thumb out of the way. There's a certain tell when you're like this that you can't see the thumb, and it's not necessarily suspicious. But when you can see the thumb like this, this is a very empty looking pose. It's as if I laid that coin in my hand like that. Like I just delivered the coin and the hand's leaving, and the coin was laid into this hand. So I like that aspect of this version. So let's take a look over the shoulder. So the position is just, from your perspective, at the 3 o'clock mark. First finger on the front, thumb on the back. The middle finger is basically touching your thumb, and it's supporting the edge of the coin. So if you brought your middle finger from the back side to in front of the coin, your grip should be light enough that the coin swings down like this. So first, maybe get the feel just for this. It's an easy thing to do. Now adding your other hand in, you want to bring the coin in, and you can kind of, I will usually come in, tip back, and then tip forward. It's as I tip forward, my left fingers are beginning to close. And then as I'm tipping, the right hand's also lifting, so the coin has room to drop a little bit. So I'm flashing this way, and then I'm flashing this way. And then the thumb releases, the coin's at fingertip rest. And the final touch here is just this swivel at the wrist. So you're hiding any of the edge of the coin that might come out by just swiveling away. And this is kind of the action from my Rickroll retention, where I swivel in and then I swivel out. So if you've studied that video, it's very much similar to that action. So again, you're there and there. Tip back, tip forward, lift, and the coin pivots, releasing with your thumb, and then swiveling out. Boom. Now, as I mentioned before, this is just a snapshot of a larger sequence of moves, a larger a routine. So you have to practice this in isolation, but you have to attach it to something else. So where do you go from here? With the coin being at fingertip rest, the fastest position to get into is classic palm. Now, for more ideas on what to do with the coin, I suggest you look at some of my other videos where I cover one coin routines. I made a video a while back called The Best Coin Trick in the World, and it was about the one coin routine. So a one coin routine is a good practice exercise to basically stick together a bunch of false transfers. That's at least a good place to start. So you can throw in your retention of vision, Vanish, or the elusive coin pass. You could throw that into somewhere, classic palm it, practice a hand wash, reproduce it in some way, practice your French drop, your classic palm again. Basically glue all these ideas together and have a short one coin routine. And it's at least a way to practice this move that you've done in isolation. You can now practice it in some sort of sequence that you've made up. And a one coin routine is so versatile, and it can be different every time you perform it. If you've practiced enough, you can almost jazz with one coin. So that's it for today's video. I hope I've done a good job putting everything in context and giving you as much history as I'm able to look up. I have a good sized library, but I don't have all the books to look up everything. Conjuring Archive is a great website to look stuff up. And, you know, not everyone has all the answers out there. So I enjoy doing my part to inform people, educate them, And I want you to continue the journey and look at the books I've mentioned, and I've provided those books, some of them, for you on my website. And if you feel so inclined to help me out and make a donation, I've provided that link below. $1 even helps, or $5 or $10, whatever you feel like. You can also just go to my website and maybe pick something up that interests you. So I hope you've gotten something out of today's video. I know I learned a few things while I was researching everything. So really put the practice into this move, and you'll have a beautiful looking coin vanish that you can use in almost any routine. So that's it for today, and I'll see you on the next one.